Hey, and good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel with the Weather Report, your no-nonsense weather. We bring it to you straight without all that social media hype. If you're new here to the channel and you appreciate somebody who's going to give it to you straight without telling you that every storm is the storm of the century or you're all going to die, then why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? Please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. So, anyway, yeah, I just, there's so much out there in the social media world. Just drives me crazy sometimes. But hey, we like to keep it straight here. Now, I am going to tell you this. I'm a little concerned about the Southwest part of the United States. The flooding concern is real. We have seen a significant amount of flooding this summer. I was calling it the year of the flood. And with the amount of tropical moisture that may make its way into the Southwest, I'm really concerned about the flooding potential across the Southwest. And I'm going to show you what the folks at the WPC are talking about as far as the excessive rainfall that's potential there across the Southwest portion of the United States. So that's no hype. That's real. So you guys need to keep it straight there. All right, let's get into all this now. Let's get into this report here. Our highs and lows yesterday. Let's check that out. We're going to talk about, we had 103 out in Toccopola, California. That's the Mojave Desert. 103 out there. And 15 up in McKay, Idaho. Those were our extremes yesterday across the country. So let's go ahead and take a look at your service maps here for this morning. Get on my studio mode there, as we're going to be watching a couple things here in the days. Obviously, we're going to be keeping an eye on the Southwest here. We also going to have a coastal system forming up here along the beaches. It's going to be a lot of heavy rain, some coastal beach erosion, some very gusty winds in this as well. Don't know if this will become tropical or not. I think it'll stay a coastal low, cold core, not a warm one. But if it did become one, it would be Karen. And you know it, Karen would be the storm we get on the East Coast like that. But anyway, right now, I don't expect it to be a tropical system, but a coastal low with some pretty gusty winds, some heavy rains. Definitely not a good beach day from, say, Savannah going all the way up into North Carolina and up into Maryland. It's going to be a kind of a mess as that low gets going on. Dealing with another storm system out here on the West Coast as well. Seeing some of the rains up there across Washington State and into Oregon. And again, we're going to watch down here. This is my main concern here on this update is the Southwest. We are getting a little bit of that rain there coming up into Tucson right now. This stuff's not too bad, but it's really tomorrow. Of the 2 days, today we get some flooding concerns. Tomorrow will be a big problem. Look at where they've got the current flood watches out here right now. We're talking into Utah, Nevada, California, Arizona, parts of Colorado. So a pretty good area there with the potential for some flooding rains. Got a little fog there this morning across some of the foothills. And it's pretty chilly up there in the Northeast. Got a lot of looking a lot of freeze warnings in effect up there. Have to watch out as some of the cold air settles into the Northeast. All right, let's go do a quick look out in the tropics right now. Again, here's what we got on the Atlantic side. We got Jerry out there right now. You see that 10% one? That's a big storm up there. I'm going to show you the satellite picture on that. That thing's a huge storm out there. But this is going to go, again, we've got the tropical storm watches out here as Jerry's going to sideswipe the islands and then head on out up into the northern Atlantic. Not going to be a problem. I'm not worried about that. Still undergoing some wind shear out there. Still seeing an unsettled system there. Look at this bad boy. Woo! This thing's cracked up big time up here. Big time low up there in the middle of the Atlantic. It's not going to become tropical, but it looks like it's probably got some hurricane force winds with that sucker. Definitely going to be heading up into the northern Atlantic. That's something to watch because, believe it or not, you get storms that get cranked up like that. It really has a big impact on how the westerlies going across the globe, how they set up. So just something to watch. We'll see how it has any significant impact on the global weather pattern or not. Now, here's the other storms down here. Here's Priscilla. Priscilla's actually out here. I'm sorry. Priscilla's up here. This is supposed to be Raymond. Both these moisture flows may come into the southwest here. This was that little disturbance that's rolling into Mexico as well. It also could get pulled up into this. So again, we got like a triple whammy of moisture coming into the southwest. So I'm really concerned about the flooding area in those zones. All right. Another thing I do want to point out on this tropical update here is this thing loops one more time. We're going to let this thing loop one back through here again. We'll let this go. Well, obviously we got Jerry who's going up this way. We got another tropical wave coming behind it that's also going to stay out. But watch this area in here. I was mentioning this yesterday. The pressure falls are happening in this area. Climatologically speaking, this is where we look. And I'm seeing a few of these little models that want to try to steer something up, maybe getting into the Gulf. Even one of these models takes a hurricane into Louisiana and brings it on up. Now, that's not to say that's going to happen, but what I'm saying is there's a tendency, a tendency for the pressure to fall in that area. So I'm looking for model continuity. Is this something that continues every day? We've seen it yesterday. We're seeing it again today. We'll see tomorrow. We'll see if that continues to be a trend. But we could be looking at Karen potentially developing down that way. So just stay tuned. We're not done with hurricane season just yet. And another thing I want to point out is the water temperatures out there are very warm out there in the Atlantic. I mean, look at this. I mean, way up here in the Gulf of Mexico. So we're very warm in the Gulf right now. Anything gets in the Gulf, as long as it doesn't have a lot of wind shear, it definitely has the potential to blow up. So we got to watch that system, see if it sneaks into the Gulf or not. Could be a problem. So stay tuned on that front. Now, let's talk about the weather threat for today is the Southwest. Okay, here is the concern here. This is from the WPC. This is the excessive rainfall here. And obviously you see the yellow. So we got slight risk 15% there. We're talking California, Arizona, into Utah. Again, that whole area that's under the flash flood watch is for today, right? All right, now take a look for tomorrow. Boom, we got a big bullseye there across Arizona here. So we're talking about a moderate risk up to 40% here. We're talking about getting to Flagstaff and areas there just getting near the Phoenix area. So again, a big problem in here for some urban flooding here across central portions of Arizona going forward tomorrow with all that moisture just kind of tapping and going that way. And that's going to continue even into day 3. So we're talking Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, flooding concerns, especially Arizona here for the next 3 days. So folks, just hopefully they're paying attention to that part of the world. Because it's desert, you can get flooding that come up very quickly, and you know flooding causes more deaths every year than anything else, and we've had a number of them this year. Hopefully folks will be safe and heed the advisories from local emergency managers and of course the National Weather Service offices in those areas. Other area we got to watch here for this upcoming weekend with that coastal low coming on board is going to be the East Coast. You obviously see the hair going in for tomorrow, and then going into the Outer Banks here in North Carolina, and possible heavy rains here as well with that coastal low taking place. So again, we got a couple areas to watch there for some significant rains the fall. Now let's go look at your model data here. We're going to look here at the NAM, latest 6Z NAM that just came in here. We'll take a look at that. We're going to watch the evolution of these systems here, taking for the next 60 hours. It's going to take you up to about 2 o'clock on Saturday. All right, timestamps in that upper right-hand corner. Again, we got this upper level low here off the west coast, I should say, that's kind of bringing this moisture up. These surges of moisture keep coming up into this area. So again, flooding concerns, big problem in the Southwest. Here's our coastal low starting to get going. You see the rains going there, as well as we got this little piece of energy is dropping down out of the Great Lakes. Is this energy diving down here that's going to cause this low to form here off the coast? So we're going to get this energy to kind of transfer and kind of see that kind of come up into that area. So again, we got West Coast, we got East Coast, middle of the country, pretty quiet for the most part. Not bad, other than that little piece of energy that's diving down over the Great Lakes there, caused some rains there. So that's what we're seeing right through Saturday. Now, as far as the rainfall totals, obviously right around the coastal areas, that low there, you see the heavy rains here across portions of Utah, Arizona, and into New Mexico. And I always like to remind folks, when it comes to tropical rains, the models tend to underestimate it. It's probably going to be a little more than what's being shown. And then obviously we got some rains up here along the west coast here from Washington State down into Northern California. And we're also going to get some mountain snows out of that as well, although it backed off just a little bit compared to what it was showing yesterday. All right, let's go look at your temperature regime here as we go take a look at this. Let me get my clock back on here. Sometimes it likes to reset, which I don't really care for. But anyway, so as you can see, we got the cool air across the northeast kind of coming on in there. Let me go ahead and let this load up. I'll go ahead and let that play out. And we're going to see that still looking at the warm weather in the middle of the country. That's still going to be in the cards here. Now, when I show you the European model, again, for the most part, it holds that. We get maybe a brief cool down in the northeast, but the middle of the country stays warm, and then at the end of the model, it finally flattens it all out where we get to more seasonable temperatures across the country. Of course, we need model continuity to show that. That's been out the window here for a while, really not getting into that. So as we take a look at this, and I'm going to slow this down for you. So let me show this down here. Again, watch what's going on here. See that piece of energy across the Great Lakes? This is what's going to set up our coastal low. This piece of energy here diving south, that's what's going to give us our low. This is going south. This is going to give us our coastal low there. Here's our big trough here that's picking up our moisture from the southwest and driving it into, or from the northwest and driving the moisture into the southwest right through there. So again, that's what we're seeing here for the weekend. So this goes on. There's our low, kind of forms, and it just kind of kicks on out. But look behind it, boy. We get a big old high right there across the south. So that's going to mean hot, warm temperatures here and going into next week. Here's our big trough out in the west. It's going to be kind of cold, kind of snowy out there in the west going into next week. So that looks pretty firm and above normal temperatures for most next week. So, and then we got this other trough coming in here, dumping out into the northwest there toward the end of the model run there, right through there. Boom. All right. So through this period here, I'm okay with. I'm all right with this. This looks pretty reasonable based off what I'm seeing. Beyond that, and then we're kind of taking a little bit of an extrapolation guess here. But what the long-range model is, it continues this persistent troughiness here in the east. Now, what that means is probably backdoor wedges here, cold air coming from this direction than what we typically see, not like, big drop down like this, coming this way. So this is going to go on through, and then this looks on out. But look what happens to that ridge, that big orange you see there, that high pressure. It finally breaks down completely, and then looks like we're finally getting the progressive flow across the country. We'll see if that holds true or not. Again, the model consistency's not been there beyond 7 days, so I'll take it with a grain of salt for right now. So looking at your forecast here, European taking for the next 7 days, again, we got that coastal low. It's going to kick on out. We got several disturbances that are riding out of the west. Obviously, very rainy, very stormy there across the Four Corners region. Staying wet. There's that upper low coming in there. We'll get some intermountain snows in here and some rains up into the plains. But a lot of the south continue to see with the drought conditions. Very La Nina-like pattern continues with the dry weather there. And that's not going to change. And when I show you the climate outlook, you'll understand that as well. Snow, rainfall totals, again, West Coast seeing that down here. Obviously, we got the heavy rains here across Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, coming to the Intermountains, pretty good rains and higher elevation snows out here. Very rainy here along the East Coast with that coastal low from New York City all the way down towards Savannah. So very wet there. Dry across the Midwest and the South for the most part, South Central U.S. So this is your only dry spot there. This is a 7-day rainfall total. Your snow totals out in the west, still decent, but not quite as high as they were showing yesterday, which is a little disappointing. I like to see a lot of good snow out in the west, especially in the mountain areas. And but still decent, still looking at 8-10 inches of snow. Like here, California still showing 9 inches. Seeing that 11-inch here across southern portions of Montana. So it's some decent. We're getting some higher elevation snows. Got to build that snowpack up, All right. Now as we go take a look at the temperatures here, again. What we're going to see through this is the middle of the country still going to stay on the miles. I mean, look, 70s for Saturday afternoon up across the high plains. I mean, that's not supposed to be that warm. 80s still holding on here. We're supposed to be backing off now. We're in October. Days are getting shorter. Still look at it, 79. Look at this, Sunday afternoon. Look at this, 80s. Look how warm it is here in the middle of the country. Just unbelievable. That continues to be a problem there. And as we go into next week, we're going to cool it down. There's the front. You see the front right there. There's our cold front coming in here. That's going to cool those temperatures down. This is pretty cold. See all this up in here. And we still got the residual kind of coolness there across the east a little bit. So as we go through next week, you see that cool down there. But it's brief. Look at this. We still got 80-degree temperatures. The cool air is not pushing south. It's kind of moving west to east. It's not able to really push down because remember, we got that high-pressure ridge that's building across there. So very warm temperatures there in the middle of the country there on Wednesday. And it just sits there. There's Thursday. Again, very warm. We got cooler here in the west, northeast, but everybody else, very warm next week. No big changes. And we'll take this into Friday, too. So we'll go to Friday. Even some 90s down here across Texas. So looks like maybe by Friday we cool the high plains off just a little bit more. But really, the big story next week is going to be what you see here. So here is this. Bam. You got the dry weather here. Oops, I forgot to reset that here. This is the bam. Bam. Here you go. Again, very warm in the middle of the country. Cool out in the west. That's where the snows are going to fall. Again, this is taking you from the 14th to the 18th and the same from the 16th to the 22nd. You notice we do get a little bit of this cool down here in the northeast showing up. So again, we were showing that coming on down. This might change a little bit here because based off the European, that's been showing it there for a few runs now. That may cool that down just a little bit more, but still looking very warm here in the middle of the country and cooler here in the west. All right, now the other story continues to be the drought conditions across the southeast. You see nothing but dry weather there and very wet out here in the west, but very dry here across the Georgia and stuff. The new drought index will be out today. I'm expecting that to go up, and that's going to continue to go up here throughout the fall. And there's your 8 to 14 day outlook, also looking dry there across the southeast and still wet out in the west. So, man, just a crazy, crazy thing. So a couple things we got to talk about, kind of sum this up for you. Again, anywhere in the southwest, pay attention, all right? Do not get in trouble. You know the old mantra, if you see a flooded road, don't drown, turn around. Do not get in trouble. If you're in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, into Southern California, Nevada, New Mexico, those areas, be careful out there. Flooding is no joke. It's no hype. That's just something you got to take serious. East Coast, you got that coastal low. There's going to be some heavy surf up and down the eastern seaboard. Be careful. Rip currents are going to be a problem. Coastal erosions are going to be a problem there with that low. It's going to take a little while for that thing to kick on out. Watch out for that. Warmth in the middle of the country, but it's not summertime heat at least, but it's still unusually warm there in the middle of the country. And then next week, do we get Karen? Do we get something developed out there in the Western Caribbean? We'll watch that very closely for you, get that going as well. Hey, Mick, good to see you out there this morning. Appreciate you checking on in here, get your update this morning, and I appreciate it. And so we will just keep driving along here. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday edition, get you ready for the weekend. And other than that, that's y'all's update for today.